guys, it's Janet Wakeland with RemarkablyCreated.com. We're back with another product spotlight, and this time we'll be looking at the test tubes. I have two fun projects to share with you tonight, and then if you stop by RemarkablyCreated.com, you'll be able to access the blog hop featuring lots of ideas. And if it is as great as our Cat Punch blog hop was, you are going to love the variety of ideas. So again, what we're featuring is our treat test tubes. The test tubes arrive in a nice sturdy little box like this that I'm sure many of us will be repurposing and using. And then you have all of your test tubes here to work with. They are plastic, which is going to make them safe to mail. And you have your little cork. They are about 5.5 inches. Let me just verify that real quick. Actually 4 1/4. I'm so sorry about that. So they're about 4 1/4 inches long. So for this project, what we did, and I'm not going to put the whole project together. Instead, I want to give you some tips for coloring the leaves and things like that. But what we worked with is the 3 by 6 inch gusseted bag, and this is available in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. Because it's gusseted, as I added my test tubes, I made sure to put them in front of the gusset. Okay, so we have those and I put 3 of them in. Of course, you could do less, you could even do more, but I had all 3 of them. Of course, I filled them first. And then this piece of paper here is cut at 3 1/4 inches by 5.5 inches and simply folded in half. And I thought that gave a nice topper. The reason why I cut it a little taller is because there is a lollipop stick in here. What this is this is a caramel apple kit. You have the caramels to melt down for the apple and then sprinkles to dip in the apple or dip the apple into as it's drying. So it's a caramel apple kit. So I wanted it just a little taller because my lollipop stick did extend beyond the bag. It is kind of sticking out there just a little bit. But that's why I cut the card the size that I did. For the embellishments on this card, I worked with the Little Things stamp set, and I did something that might make a couple of you go, she didn't. But I do, and I did, and I do it quite often, actually. I cut my stamp apart. I knew that this was an element that I would rarely incorporate into any of the projects. It's this simple little heart piece here, and it made it easier for me to use the framelits and the punches and things that I wanted to work with when I was working with this. I actually contemplated cutting it one more time, but this is such a straight scissor cut that I still might, but for right now I didn't. But I can already see where some of these other ones are like, ooh, okay, and I might need to cut that. But again, it's also really easy just to kind of put it back on the block and stamp it as a whole stamp. And it also just sits nicely. When I get my stamps, I don't get rid of this relief piece. I also do not put the labels on it. I know some people do, some people don't. I personally don't put my labels on it, but I keep this relief piece. It allows me to store those extras. It allows me to know if a stamp is out, a lot of times draining and being cleaned by the sink in my craft studio. So I cut that apart. That's that stamp and that tip. And then we worked with the vintage leaves. And the vintage leaves are beautiful, and they do have a coordinating framelit set. And then lastly, I worked with the lots of labels. You're going to see this on both projects. And it is a label framelit set that I've been going to quite often this fall. I'm really excited by just how many of the stamps and products in the holiday catalog work with this lots of labels. Great variety. So those are the products that I worked with. So now let's give you a little bit of a tip for coloring these images. And I'm looking around to see where I might have. There we go. So let's go ahead and let's start first with our lighter color. And I'm going to just make sure that this is clean. It looks stained, but it's clean. So I'm going to start with pumpkin. And now I want to add some color to that. There's a couple of different ways that you can do that. You just got to pick out what you want to be your coordinating color. If you want a nice soft contrast, if you use your sponge and drop that in, you can go ahead and just sponge on some of the color. Okay, just wherever you want it to be. And then when you stamp it, you're going to have this nice variation. And that's just a real soft way to do it, is with a sponge. Let's just kind of squish that and clean that off over here. So let's do that one more time, but let's do it a little bit differently. This time we're going to use one of our daubers. It's a more dense sponge, and it's also smaller, so it's going to allow me to be more purposeful and where I put my ink. So let's go ahead and ink this up. We're going to grab that out there so you can see we're going to daub this. And now I'm just going to go in and work the edges. So I can be a little bit more specific of where I want to place my color. I could even take a little bit and kind of come up the vein of the center. And let's stamp this way. And you can see where I have a darker image and I was able to be more specific about where I put the color. So just a fun little technique for you for adding some color and emphasis to your stamps. And it works with any stamp. Once you stamp it once, you can again take your daubers or take your sponges and then add a second color to it, some nice shading. So that's something really fun for you. So now let's look at the second project. The second project is actually the Christmas gift that my nephews are going to be getting from me this holiday season. And what we're working with is we're working with the label framelit. We are working with our little pine sprigs. We have one of our bows. This is the bow package. There's 24 bows in here, and you have your garden green, your whisper white, and your cherry cobbler. I have a little tag that I die cut using the coordinating framelits with the iconic Christmas stamp. And right now, well, actually we'll open the green back up again. Actually, no, I want it red. Get a little pop of color on this. I'm going to do cherry cobbler. And I have the To From, which is from the iconic Christmas set. And let's just go ahead and put our To From on there. So we have those pieces. We'll set those aside to be cleaned. And of course, we're going to be working with a test tube. Adhesive-wise, you're going to want your sticky strip and a dimensional. So what we're going to do is this was die cut from the label framelits that I showed you earlier. And you're going to go ahead and wrap it around so that the edges meet. And then give it a crease. Like just kind of work your hand in there and give it a crease. Then you know where to put your sticky tape. And you do want to put the sticky tape on. Most adhesives don't always like to stay together when they're going around something that's round, has a bend or whatever. It kind of creates that tension on the strip. So, okay, I need my pokey tool. Sorry about that, guys. We'll lay that back down and then just very carefully work, get it all lined up. So now I've just kind of created a little sleeve on there. We can go ahead and we can take a glue dot. Oops. Lots of glue dots. We don't need that many. I'm just going to go ahead and get 2 glue dots, one in each corner of the tag. I'm going to set that down in here. And then just like the regular bows like this that you would buy at the holiday season, this does have a backing on it as well. And you're going to want to peel that backing off because it is self-adhesive. Okay. I will tell you this is the most challenging part of the entire project. Getting these backings off can be challenging. And I'm not seeing my, well, we have this big tool here, so we'll just grab it. An older version. There we go. So we're just going to pull that backing off and put our little bow. But now we need to add this piece. So you have 2 choices. You're going to want to take your paper piercing tool and poke it down in. And you're just going to really just start to wrench it around, okay? And make sure as well, so once you start getting a good hole that way, make sure that it goes down through a little bit. And you're just going to keep doing that, making the hole bigger. Or another option would be if you have a small handheld drill or a handyman with even just a larger drill, you could drill holes on all of these. And the reason why you want to do that then is because you're going to take our sweet little pine and you're going to plug it right in there, and now that's going to go on the top of this. Now I call this a Christmas green, and I said this was going to be the gift that's going to my nephews. And the reason is because one of the great greens to get at the holiday season is good old cash. At least in the USA, cash is green. So then it coordinates and you can see the cash sticking out. Now for the top of this, we added a little bit of embossing paste, and let me show you how that was done. Let's set that aside for you for just a second. Embossing paste, there we go. And I just used a brush. We just picked it up a little bit. And I just started literally just painting it on. I didn't worry about it being perfect and the exact amount on every single leaf, because when the snow falls here, at least in our wood lot, it's just Mother Nature being random. It's not perfect. So, but you're just going to paint it on. And then while it's still wet, you're going to take a little bit of your Dazzling Diamonds glitter and sprinkle it on. You can give it a good tap. And then just set it down and just let it dry just a little bit. It'll take a few minutes to dry. And then you'll be ready to manhandle it and stick it inside. So sweet little gift. I was really excited when I found a use for these little pine boughs. I know that they're going to be really, really pretty on packaging, but I always love trying to find additional purposes for products. So if you think this is a clever idea, go ahead and give me a shout out and comment below. Again, you can see these two projects up close on our product spotlight blog hop if you visit me at remarkablycreated.com. And as always, while you're there, you can subscribe to my newsletter for 40 to 50 tutorials a month, as well as request a catalog and, of course, shop for these amazing products. And just a reminder that 25% of all of my sales this month are going to vetted charities that are supporting our hurricane victims. So thank you guys so much for stopping by.